The next speaker is Deputy Mayor Glenn de Baeremaeker. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If the clerk can put my motion on the screen. As I mentioned to staff in questioning, I've basically taken some of the 6 criteria that staff have in the report, and this has happened, I think, before with some of our animal welfare issues in our own shelters, that staff have some very good criteria, but because they're not council endorsed and council certified, some people worry that perhaps we might stray from them or those might change without people knowing. So what I'm doing is moving I think the first 6 are all within the staff report, and adding number 7 with the staff support, making sure that if people, when we determine what animal is on or off the list, that they actually look at independent, impartial, peer-reviewed evidence, making sure that you can care for those animals that we might put on the list. So I'm just moving that motion. I'm going to be supporting the staff recommendations. I will not be supporting any exemptions. I think that the great organizations, and we had 3, I won't name names, but there were some in the audience today. The people who came here today, including the Toronto Wildlife Centre, are some of the best custodians you could ever hope for. If you're unfortunate enough to be one of these poor animals that somehow ends up in one of these institutions, you're lucky. Because if it wasn't for them, it might be a guy who puts you in his shed or in his basement or in his garage or who knows where. And many times these animals just are neglected and die horrible, long, torturous deaths that we wouldn't wish on any animal consciously, but we humans, and we even see it in our own shelter, people think it's really funky to get some type of animal off the internet. It is a lot of fun, and then after 6 months or a year or 2 years, they just throw it away. Just like the animals, the dogs that we get in our shelters, our staff show up sometimes on a Monday morning and there's a dog tied up to the door. Why? Because somebody thought getting that great big Great Dane was a lot of fun. Then they found out 6 months later they can't take care of it properly and they just abandon them. So while I have great admiration for some of these organizations, I think we're in a time of social change. And they're just going to have to change. They're going to continue their shows. They're going to continue their outreach. They're going to have to change, just like we're all changing. But they're still going to be able to provide that message of love and support and custodianship and conservation and protecting nature, all the good things that we want children to learn about and people in nursing homes to learn about. They'll still be able to do all their nursing home shows, all their camp shows and everything else. They just can't bring a monkey or a lynx or a lion. The exotic animals shouldn't be in there. I've been a member of the Toronto Zoo Board for 13 years now, and I can tell you, and I say with great pride in our zoo, we are transforming how we take care of our animals at the zoo, because even 13 years ago when I got elected, the standard of care that was there 13 years ago would not be accepted in almost any zoo anywhere in the world nowadays. There are some zoos that we might call barbaric zoos that are in very rough shape, but certainly the Toronto Zoo now recognizes that what was acceptable 20, 30, 40 years ago isn't acceptable now. We had a great big fight over our elephants. We kept our elephants in a 1-acre pavilion. We kept them in a barn. Elephants that travel 100 kilometers a day. We kept them in a barn, locked, closed in the middle of a January winter. Our zoo finally had to, with our poking and prodding, realize, maybe they're better in a place down in sunny California in a sanctuary where they actually have 80 acres to move around. So I think that it's important for us as people who are legislating, not just the very best people that are here today, but some of those bandits, some of those underground people who don't have the same dedication and education and passion that the people have here today. I think we've done a very wholesome review. I agree with our staff. I can't imagine if we went out for another 6 months, 2 months, 2 years more consultation. Yes, we might get 10 times more people show up, but would they actually contribute anything new or unexpected? I think we've heard the full spectrum of the debate. It's been a very respectful and healthy debate, and I've decided that I think the staff report is a giant leap forward in terms of protecting people, in terms of protecting animals, and in terms of giving guidance to everybody on what is or isn't acceptable behavior south of Steeles Avenue. So I'll be supporting the staff recommendations and my own one motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers?